Hi Winnie, hi Beth, hello. Good morning. Hope you're having a great Wednesday morning. Let's just wait for the others before we begin, okay? Hi Jackie, good morning. Hope you're all having a great Wednesday morning. And we're very excited to get started on today's session. Hi Patrick, good morning to you. Okay. We have a very exciting event today and we hope that you enjoy today's session, okay? So let's just wait for the others before we begin, okay? Let's just wait for another 2 more minutes. Hi Leslie, good morning. Hi Winnie. Hello. Hi Jackie. Okay, so let's just wait for another minute, okay? And we will get started. Hi Patrick, good morning. Hi Leslie, good morning. Okay, let's just wait for another minute, okay? I think some people. Hi Lily, hello. Hope you're having a great morning. Good morning to you. Okay. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Patricia. I'm the host of today's session. And today we have a very exciting event. We'll be having our very first CEO dialogue featuring some of our esteemed panelists and moderator. Okay, so we'll be starting shortly. And yeah, I hope you had a great breakfast. I hope you already had your coffee. And I hope that you will enjoy today's session. Okay, all right. Hi, hello, good morning. All right, I think we can start now. Okay. So again, I'm Patricia. I'm from Training Vision Institute. Thank you so much for coming into our today's session. We'll be having our very first CEO dialogue, accelerating innovative growth through the art of and science of driving quantum growth. Okay. So before we get started, let me introduce first Training Vision Institute. We're a leading training and consultancy provider here in Singapore. And our vision is to be the leader in human and organizational development. And our mission is to maximize human potential through applied knowledge, best practices, and innovative mindset. Hi, Z. Hello, good morning. Hope you're having a great morning to you. Okay. And so, why Training Vision Institute? We have been in the market for the past 30 years. We have trained 120,000 learners and counting. We have trained 700 corporate MNC and SME. We have 100 certified academics or trainers. And we currently have 5 training campuses here in Singapore. So these are just some of the information about Training Vision Institute. Okay. And as I have mentioned, today we have a very special session, our very first CEO dialogue. With me today, let me introduce to you our moderator, Claudius Ong, President of Singapore Chamber of E-Commerce. Hello, Claudius. Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Morning.
All right, do we start now? Okay, thank you, Patricia. Morning, everybody, and welcome to the CEO's Dialogue organized by Training Vision Institute, Accepting Innovation, Innovative Growth. I'm Claudius. I'm the moderator of today's session. Today, together with our panelists, Rajiv and Dr. Mike Ting, I hope to be able to shed light on how business can activate a roadmap for growth in today's business environment. The keyword here today is growth. As we will normally define it, is simply the ability of businesses to earn better profit. The key here is at what cost. For example, in the e-commerce world, many of our SMEs became capable in selling online over the last 2 years. And this helps increase revenue without increasing rental costs. But that to me is one of the methods to build growth, but it's a really short-term growth. So to build a longer-term growth, business leaders actually need to look deep inside themselves and into their own company. They need to extend their core strength to the forefront, and they need to adapt in order to play with their strength and avoid having that weakness to be in the way. So this process can be summarized with one word: innovation. Innovation is not just about brainstorming, coming up with new ideas. It's actually a creation of new values that every of your customer would appreciate and think that you're actually very special in the market. So knowing how to use innovation will give you a fuel for long-term growth. So how can SME accelerate their growth with innovation? Well, that's our topic today, and we have two very established CEOs with decades-long expertise in managing business innovation. So I'm going to introduce them. The first one I'm going to introduce Dr. Mike Teng. Dr. Teng has been the CEO of several MNC in Singapore, listed companies and SME for more than 25 years. So he has trained and also consulted with many companies in Singapore, China, Southeast Asia, and even Africa in the areas of corporate transformation and business model innovation for many years. So he's a best-selling author as well of a book on corporate turnaround. So Dr. Mike, would you like to say hello?
Hello. Welcome, everybody.
Great. Our second panelist is Rajiv. Rajiv is the founder of Erewhon. Erewhon is a 30-year-old pioneering innovation firm where he has helmed for the refining and recasting of innovation. He's recognized as India's innovation top thought leader. So Rajiv was part of the National Planning Commission panel to recommend India's innovation strategy as well. With his unparalleled insight into business, social, and public service innovation, he has inspired a number of leaders and organizations across the world as well, into fueling innovative growth. Rajiv, would you like to say hello to our audience?
A very good morning, friends, and look forward to a very energetic hour with all of you.
Rajiv is hailing from India, but he's looking fresh right now. It's very early there. All right, let's start without any further ado with a panel discussion. So my first question, maybe as a warm-up question, and I'm very excited right now, is that what does it take to fuel growth with innovation? I think that's the first question, but it is a very hard-on question for all our panelists. So maybe I would like Rajiv to start with that. Are you okay?
Yeah, sure, Claudius and friends. You know, when I think of innovation and growth, there's one episode in the life of Walt Disney which kind of brings it alive very beautifully and very metaphorically indeed for all of us. You know, as you know, he was the pioneer of animated films. And one of the very first films that they made that was very successful was a film about pigs. You must have read that story, all of you, Three Little Pigs. You know, so that was very popular, succeeded. So he got his team together and they were discussing what should we do next. You can imagine, right, when one kind of film begins to succeed, what would have been the answer? You know, most of you have guessed it right in all probability. The immediate response was, well, why? One more film on pigs. You know, pigs work, pigs sell. So they made pigs too. It didn't do as well. But when they got together, you must have been a part of such reviews when the conclusion was, you know, the idea was good, the execution wasn't. So what? Pigs 3. You know, you won't believe it. It went on till Pigs 5 till it finally hit Walt Disney. You know, one day it just hit him like a bolt that you can't beat pigs with pigs. We have to do something else. You know, that trigger really led to the creation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That was the first full-length feature film in animation ever. You know, it created the category of animated feature films. And today, as you know, that's one of the biggest categories of all time. And incidentally, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is in the Hollywood Hall of Fame as one of the biggest grocers ever, even till date. But take a look. Huh? I am sharing with you this not so much as a story as a metaphor. What prevents growth and why innovative growth? What the story brings alive is that after some time, what happens is to every industry, what happens to Walt Disney happens to every industry. After a point, everybody begins to think alike. Believe me, the entire industry becomes a pig factory. So after some time, you will notice it not just within a company, this conditioning happens at an industry level. After some time, everybody is thinking the same way. You'll see the same products, the same business models, the same processes. Everybody is doing more of the same. And if you have to hire a new guy, you will inevitably look for 10 guys with the experience in the same industry. So no wonder after some time, even people look the same. It's amazing how this conditioning can blind the best of industries. In fact, if you track industries, you'll find 10, 20 years of blindness before something new happens. And this is worldwide. It's not just a phenomenon of some cultures. So the challenge really is, when we say innovative growth, what does it mean? It means, how do we discover those boundaries and those boxes with which we are looking at the market today, and discover new market opportunities, new growth opportunities. And it doesn't have to wait for incident and accident. It can be done deliberately. For example, over these years, the one area that we've very strongly worked on is how to break mental model boundaries and discover new growth opportunities. Now, the growth could come from, for example, new ways of penetrating the market. So increasing the lifetime value of a customer. Now here, for example, two things which come to my mind. This has happened brilliantly with one company which was into wristwatches and another one into bicycles, where it led to tripling the lifetime value of a customer. But not just market penetration, market expansion. So how do you increase the number of customers, the rate of acquisition of new customers? So I remember some work with an insurance firm. You won't believe it. It led to a 10x solution. They had missed another category, an expansion opportunity completely. Not just them, the entire industry. It led to 10x, but a third example is of a skin clinic, which was when launching in a new city, in a new market. When they revisited how they were approaching customers, and to revisit that, it led to quadrupling the number of customers, 4 times almost. But what about, so that is market penetration, market expansion, even new market creation, discovering a new category of customers. Here, interestingly, with the news channel, they discovered a new category. The news channels firmly believe that they are only, the people who watch news are 35 plus males. I think it includes all of us, or most of us in this webinar today, but for them, they are convinced that youth are not interested. So actually discovering what would click the youth brought in a big wave. So that was a new category creation, literally, and this has happened in the case of a news channel, and in the case of a launch of a new vehicle. So it's not just a new product, but launching a new vehicle, discovering a new set of customers, almost brought in 5 times the number of customers. So you notice all this it sounds magical, but it isn't. It's all about discovering the boundaries and finding new opportunities, and doing it deliberately and not letting it wait to happen by accident or by design. That's what I mean by innovative growth. Is really, how does one discover and tap new growth opportunities, and not wait and hope that someday accidentally we'll discover an opportunity. It can be done deliberately. So that's from my side. I would over to Mike. I'm sure he has his point of view there.
Okay, thank you, Raji, for the very interesting story on pigs. I don't have a story on pigs, but I do have a story on David and Goliath. And there's a lesson you can learn on innovative growth from this story, David versus Goliath. I think the Bible and the Quran, okay, they have actually written quite a fair bit about this, how David overcome Goliath. Then there are stories of innovation. I think just very quickly, the story goes back to thousands of years ago, where the Philistines and the Israelites were fighting one another, and they were all on both sides of the valley, and Goliath was representing Philistines to say that, oh, look, I challenge the Israelite soldiers, send the best guy fight with me, and he's a big giant, okay? And the thousands of Israelite soldiers aside dare not, to come forward, including the King Saul, who was a king then, to challenge Goliath. So this little boy here, okay, I think it's probably about 14 years old, is a shepherd. Okay, he's not a warrior and so forth. He just happened to be there, to deliver food to his brothers who were serving the army. Okay, then he saw this big guy, challenging Israel. Nobody dared to take him on, So he told King Saul, I will take on the job of combating, Goliath. Okay, and this is a very interesting story of how us little guys can overcome the big guys. Okay, so David, okay, has to overcome a number of things. Okay, the mindset is always a problem. Okay, that's always a challenge. That's the number one enemy. Oh, it cannot be done. This guy is so big. So the actual enemy is not Goliath. It's the mindset. Thousands of Israelites like soldiers dare not to take on because, go there, sure die one. Cannot make it. This guy is a seasoned warrior. But David overcome that, and also David managed to overcome the establishment. King Saul gave him the armoury, okay, weapon, and David has a audacity to tell the king, hey boss, this is too heavy for me, I do it my style. So David has got an innovative tool, the slingshot, okay, of the day. And that is what I call technology of the day, okay, ballistic missile, okay. On top of that, he was very good at it. So not just innovation, you need productivity. He practiced it every day to protect the sheep, from lions and bears and so forth. So he's very good at it. But that wasn't good enough, okay. He straight away, he went to the valley, took on 5 pebbles, right, for his slingshot, okay, and then he took on Goliath. He was able to identify the weakness of Goliath. Now this is interesting. This is how SMEs can beat the big boys, and we see that many stories. The likes of Uber, Airbnb, Netflix. This is all little guys. How come they came out so quickly? So he was able to identify a market niche, a weakness, because Goliath was so complacent, arrogant. Because 40 days nobody challenged him, so he wasn't putting his helmet properly, right? And quickly, all right. And agility is important, Okay, so David went down the valley, he sort of swing the slingshot and hit right the sweet spot, on Goliath. And Goliath just went down. He didn't die yet. And David quickly went forward, took the sword of Goliath and cut off his head. Okay, beheaded. So there's also a lesson point there. There are a lot of companies that live by the old ways, all right? The old business model, traditions, so forth, they couldn't change. And that's why you see a lot of big incumbents, the Borders, the Blockbusters, why Kodaks, they've got all the financial resources, yet they could not take on the little guys that came on board. Okay? So innovation is important, the technology and so forth, but that's coupled with many other issues like the mindset change and so forth. Okay? That's how we overtake and overcome bigger guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. There's a lot of lesson learned from both of you, even from the first question. I think I've spoken from basis of stories that help to understand that I think innovation is usually the one that is useful for companies, for individuals to overcome very, very high level of adversity. So actually, in today's environment, this adversity is what everybody faces as well. So for example, why is innovation and how does it lead to, like, we have to bring it back. This adversity is like the COVID pandemic. Now is really the time when e-commerce world, we call it post-COVID, where we have to really plan for post-COVID, the 3 years within this time. But there's an issue with logistics. For example, caused by the Russian and the Ukraine war, and the social political conflicts. Brexit has passed, and currently is really high inflation. So even our PM Lee also said that in the next 2 years, we would be facing some kind of recession that is fueled by quite a lot of the things that we have mentioned just now. So how do we actually look at this innovation and fit it into our business model in this area? So maybe Mike, I can ask you this question first.
Yeah, okay, I'll start to answer this question.
Yeah.
Now, in today's very turbulent market, it's a worst of times, but later on, if I have a chance, I'll share why it's also the best of times for companies, small companies in particular.
Sure.
Okay? Today's competition is not just on product and services alone. Okay? I'm not saying those are not important. Quality, productivity, those are important. But you go beyond that now. It's competition on business models today. And just a quick definition of what do you mean by business model innovation? It means innovative way of delivering, capturing, okay, and creating, developing value to the customer. But I'd like to add that to the market as well. Why? Because what we are seeing is that there are a lot of non-industry players coming to attack the legacy traditional industries. We see that in the banking industry. The banks, I mean, I like to say this very crudely, they're dying by 1,000 cuts. They're attacked by the fintechs, PayPal, Alipay, okay, what have you, all right? They're being disintermediated. So the way forward, okay, is three things, 3Ds, remember, okay? The first D is defend, differentiate, and disrupt your business model. Okay, let me just explain that. It's what I call the exploit and explore strategy. Okay, now this is an Amazon.com strategy. Okay, they did it very well, and Amazon is one of the most admired companies in the world today, right? Because they have this exploit. Okay, they strengthen, they enhance their current model, but they explore future-ready model. So going back to the 3Ds, the first D is defend. You have to defend your turf, your current model, because no matter what, that pays the bills, the salaries, the rental, and so forth. You can't run away. You got to be strong in your current model, but that's not good enough today. You have to enhance by differentiation, right? So that you can be a leader in a pack, so to speak, something different. So that's why the second D comes in. So you enhance by various ways like digitalization, and so forth, using technology today, which is available. Then the last is disrupt. You have to disrupt your competitors, even the industry model, right? Because otherwise, people will disrupt you, right? So it's not a matter of just staying still, be good in your current model, and that's it. No, you got to explore. Okay, so your model has to be able to disrupt, even disrupt yourself, so to speak. They don't let your competitors disrupt you, and that's what Amazon did. Okay, right? They disrupt own models, then they disrupt other people's models. So you have this explore the 3Ds strategy in terms of business modeling, going forward. Raji, you want to have some comment on this?
Yeah, Rajiv.
Yeah, actually, the part I think which is at the heart of it, Mike, is what we started discussing, which you started discussing, which is that, in an environment of adversity of the kind that we are living in today, but the usual response of most companies and people is to, okay, wait and watch. Wait and watch, and hopefully things will come back to normal. This wait and watch is the surest, slowest killer. What is innovative growth? Innovative growth, the foundation of the thought is convert the problem into an opportunity. And how do we do that? Because while everybody is waiting and watching, believe me, the market is waiting to be captured like never before. Because chances are people aren't thinking aggressively, they're thinking very, very defensively as of now. In fact, at least 2 or 3 points in our history of work, we've worked with companies in a degrowing market. And actually, basically imagine the shift of mindset is from defender to attacker. And to deliberately then ask yourself, how do you convert this into an opportunity? And believe me, one financial services company doubled their market share in a degrowing market. But again, the whole purpose was to deliberately convert it into an opportunity. In fact, with the sports channel, also the same story happened. They lost their flagship product. But again, how do you convert that into an opportunity? And believe me, they've gone on to their biggest win ever after that. But the starting point is really to ask yourself this question: what is making us defensive? And how do you discover the opportunity in the convert the problem into an opportunity? It's not coping with change, it's leveraging change. Change is an opportunity for some, but usually everybody, plays it on the back foot and kind of just withdraws and starts cutting costs in such scenarios. As opposed to literally converting it into an opportunity. And believe me, that's purely a play of mindsets. It's how you want to look at the market. And that's really one of the core areas for innovative growth and the engine of innovative growth. So when we all are coming together today, the one thing I'd love all of you to keep in your mind is to ask yourself this question: where is today the biggest opportunity for you? Rather than just falling back and say, oh my God, let's wait out another year. but that's another year of opportunity lost.
So Rajiv, you mentioned product opportunities, but Dr. Mike also mentioned the business model being the first thing that we ever look at to offer to the market. So actually, does innovative growth focus only on identifying new product opportunities, or does it also include business model transformation?
No, I'm glad you're talking about that, Mike, because sorry, Claudius, because that is a very big myth around innovation, that it becomes only about technology and products. Because you notice products are easy to touch and feel, so the entire romance of innovation is all about products only. Whereas, just to endorse what Mike is saying, over the last 30 years, the biggest growth has actually come from business model innovation. But unfortunately, business models are not visible. They are not touchable and feelable like products are. So everybody therefore romances products as opposed to this invisible strength which comes from the business model. But let's look at it. There's a full spectrum of innovation. Product opportunities on one side. In a number of cases, innovative growth comes from transforming customer engagement, sales productivity. How do you increase the productivity of the last mile salesperson? Transforming his customer engagement. In fact, in 2 or 3 of these cases, it was transforming customer engagement, building the person's capacity to customize the product, get more leads from the customer. These two things combined, and it made this company a new reference point of the industry for almost 10 years. Their agent was 3 times as productive as the industry average. You notice, so innovation is there too. It is in that last mile of sales productivity, in how they engage with customers. In fact, very recently, some work we've done with pharma, with the pharmaceuticals industry. Again, the same thing. How do you increase the medical reps' capacity to engage with customers? In this case, customers are surgeons and doctors, very daunting kind of characters. But how do you transform that and transform productivity? In this case, they've doubled the productivity and transformed customer engagement, almost building a pull with the doctor rather than only having to push them.
Interesting.
So it is as much about that. It's not just about the product, it's how we launch the product into the market. Is as what Mike was saying, how do you monetize a new value you are creating differently? In fact, in one case, it was not, sales comes first and service follows. It became the reverse, service lead sales. So all these are, unfortunately, it becomes limited to products only, whereas sales engagement, customer engagement are as big opportunities, and far more low cost opportunities investing in technology and products are.
I agree with you, Rajiv, because I do see a lot of even companies when they go on the e-commerce site, that all they did was product innovation. And in fact, basically product branding, product repackaging. But actually, in order for new values to be created, companies need to really look and examine their own business model. So yeah, that's true. Mike, you have anything to add?
Yeah, thanks, Rajiv, for the comment. In alignment, I just want to add this, that product service development and so forth is found, it's not as, in terms of return on investment, it's not as good as business model innovation. There are many studies that shows that, business model innovation generates a lot more returns vis-a-vis product and service development, both short term and long term. When you come to the program, we'll share you some of this information. But I like to illustrate by example, the ride-hailing industry, for example, the Uber. Everybody knows about Uber. Now, the taxi fleet industry cannot compete against Uber or those ride-hailing industry by being better, cheaper, and faster. It is not going to work. So what, they have a better fleet of taxis. So what, they have a better trained taxi drivers. So what, they have quality and so forth. It's not going to work, right? That's why we see all this, the birth of all these new guys coming up with new business models. The Uber, that they truly doesn't own much taxi, right? They are very asset-like. I can bring the story to Airbnb, the same too. Today is the largest hotel reservations company in the world, right? They don't own any hotels, right? Netflix is another example. Of course, Netflix now also has to transform the model. The share price has been declining, They don't own any movies, videos, and so forth, So this is what I'm trying to say here, okay? That product services is important. That to me is an exploit strategy. Remember, I was saying that you got to defend that, right? But you got to go beyond that now to explore, okay? With innovation and so forth, going to new business model, future-ready models, right? Because by being faster, cheaper, and so forth, and quicker, it's not good enough today, right?
Well, that's a strong statement, because we have all
And
been
if
trying
I
to
might
say,
add, to Claudius,
yeah,
if I might add that very often to execute a new product innovation, it will require a business model transformation. Otherwise, what tends to happen is a new idea enters the old pipe. And if monetized the old way, we won't even get the full value of the new product or the service opportunity. So very often these are very complementary. To execute a new idea, we may need a business model innovation, and we've seen that very frequently. In fact, the two questions we deal with all the time: to execute this idea, what technology changes do we need, and what business model changes that we need, is a core of the execution even of a new idea.
Interesting.
And by the way, the entire digital revolution of today is not, you see, what everybody is doing is we are digitizing the old process as opposed to reimagining it. And that I think business model innovation with the digitization opportunities of today is an incredible opportunity. But provided we redesign the business model and not just simply digitize the old model.
Yeah. Maybe I just jump in, don't mind, Claudius.
Sure.
Because Raji mentioned about digitization, okay, I just wanted to amplify on a point. Another 3Ds, remember, digitization, firstly, there's digitalization and digital transformation. Okay? Digitalization is just a normal computerization and so forth, okay, from analog digital, right? So to me, that is a mandatory requirement. You better make sure that all your processes are automated and so forth, otherwise you cannot compete. But not good enough today. You need to go into the world of digitalization, which I define as using digital technology to create new business models. All right. So it's on a scale of the technology becomes a bit more advanced, because then you use things like I4.0, Internet of Things, and so forth. And now, of course, we're going to Web 3.0. All right. And the scope of work increases. So it's like a ripple. First, we start with digitization, then digitization and create new models, and a bigger scope of digital transformation. Okay, how to incorporate all this technology with businesses and so forth. The third D, right? And that's the way going forward, right? How to create new business models, okay, using innovation, leveraging on digital technology, which is available today. And that's actually the magic behind all these successful unicorns. Okay, how they leverage on IoT, I4.0, and so forth. Okay, to identify business models that can compete and disrupt, okay, the other people's models.
I'm trying to connect it to some of the experience I have with companies that are SMEs, because I also find that there is a lack of focus in terms of incorporating digital resources into their business model. And the bosses are running very, very day-to-day operation, and they seldom take time to say, okay, let's take 2 days, get someone to teach me or to tell me how I can incorporate and where I can incorporate and how do I measure that. So it is, but when I ask them, do you have such time? Do you have this time for breakfast, for whatever 2 days that we can have like consultants to come in? But a lot of times I have this thinking, does it mean that this kind of process need a lot of deliberation, and therefore is only suitable for MNC or maybe even SME who are doing very well, turning up very well, and they don't need innovation? So I always have this question. Maybe I like to also ask both of you. It's not an easy answer, I guess, but does innovation only favors the large organization and drop off at the SME side?
Actually,
yeah,
Claudius, I think that's a fair question. In the sense that very often you notice innovation means large investments in the minds of people. That's another mindset associated with innovation. It means a huge investment, and the other thought is it is long term. So it will take a long investment over a long time, and which is why people think only people with deep pockets can do it.
Yeah.
So the baggage that we have there with innovation is it's equal to R&D, it's equal to technology, therefore will take a long time.
Yes.
In fact, you'll be surprised that countries are still today ranked on innovation indexes based on R&D spend. I mean, what could be more archaic than that? It's like a dinosaur thinking in today's world.
It should be value
Really,
created. Yes.
we have to imagine innovation is a very asset-light way. It is it's primarily about the leadership's capacity to lead the organization into discovering and executing new growth opportunities. Innovation finally has to fuel growth. Products, as Mike said, we have agreed, is only one of them. The moment you shift that, you'll find that there is actually the growth engine. Innovation is driving the growth engine, and therefore as integral to an organization, a smaller one, than to large. In fact, even more so, because rather than acquire the DNA of a large, slow organization and then wonder how to grow again, how do we sustain that and embed that right now? In fact, we have the advantage of agility. Therefore, I would look at how do we make innovation the force multiplier for a small organization. And what Mike spoke about David versus Goliath, believe me, we've been a part of these stories where a local organization outdid an MNC successfully and spending 1/10 the amount that they were spending. So again, the question is, if you and believe me, the biggest shift in their minds was, if we can't beat them with resources, we'll beat them with ideas. And they did. It was a mindset change for them too. They couldn't have believed it that they could ever have taken on a Unilever. But what they did successfully and outdid them. But where did it begin? First was in their mind the mindset shift that innovation is not long term, it's how you engage with challenges and problems in the market. So it's hardly in fact, the smaller organizations I would think are far better placed. And today you notice all large organizations are looking to acquire startups for the same reason. Which is they also are seeing their own limitations there. So I would urge you to think that actually innovation is a force multiplier for small organizations. What they can't get with resources, that they can get with innovation as an absolute force multiplier.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just jump in on this one, Claudius and Rajiv. Okay, you alluded to the fact that innovation is for a big organization because sometimes you need huge investment and so forth. And SMEs are now, as I say, it's the worst of times, with all this COVID, the Ukraine war, high inflation, But on the other hand, I say this is also the best of times. Let me give you the reasons for small companies, right? Look at the trends today, okay? Very important. Okay? You see what's happening today because of the advancement of internet, technology, globalization, and so forth. It's very mobility, mobile phone. It's very easy for a producer to reach out to the consumer, right? I mean, history has shown it took something like 28 years for television to hit 50 million audience. Then, with the advance of internet and so forth, okay, roughly about 5 years, 13 years, Facebook took about 5 years to hit 50 million people. Oh, sorry, less than 1 year Facebook. Okay, and some even got it shorter than that. Pokemon Go, in 3 months they hit 50 million people. Now this has always been a bugbear challenge for small companies because you may have the most wonderful product and services, but how to reach out to the market? And this has always been monopolized the distribution network by the big boys. Today, that barrier is down because of this technology, mobility, and so forth. One, there's also a social revolution is happening with sharing economy. The younger people are more willing to share and so forth. Okay, a lot of people are also asking for free services. So this is in a favor for SME, right? Small companies, because they can reach out to all these companies that are not able to reach out before. So it is indeed the best of times. But of course, how to get it there? Okay, that's important. And this is where I think you can't do self-medication, right? It's very difficult. The staff will never tell the boss that you got a problem in business model, or what we say, we call the emperor that is naked. Okay? So you need external catalysts like myself and Rajiv, because we can go in and tell the boss, hey boss, you are the problem. Okay, the boss will get fired, but the staff can't do that. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that you need an external catalyst, okay, to come in to advise you, because we can tell you, right, what's wrong in the business model and so forth. And this is where we look at the arts of business model innovation as well as the science of business model innovation. Okay, we help you to analyze, okay, the new business models. All right, and this is a big problem because a lot of times people get carried away, especially startups. Wow, they think I got the most wonderful product and services. No, you spend a lot of money investing in a startup, which is a new business model. By the time the product service is ready, the market is not ready, or they're not addressing a pain point in the market. So this is what I call the art of business model innovation, where external party like us can bring you down to earth. Okay, and we have the template, a metrics, a toolkit to guide you. Okay, so it's not just it's a very systematic way. Okay, there's also the science of business model innovation, where you help to implement. And that's always a challenge. Okay, I mentioned just now about the mindsets, the corporate culture, and so forth. Okay, and this is where external intervention from Rajiv and I can come in, right, to tell you, right, the culture needs to transform. Or you might not even have to use your current team of people to do the new business model. And this happens to a lot of incumbents. Look at Kodak, Borders. They saw the threats of the new entrants. To be fair with Kodak, all right? They saw digital photography come in. They invested a lot of money to thwart against this digital photography. But they didn't make it because they used the existing team of people with the old corporate culture. And so remember, Goliath died by his old culture and model to handle. And it didn't work, right? And this is where we come in to tell you, we have the metrics to tell you, hey, culturally, I think your people have a certain mindset. Keep them in the exploit strategy. For exploit strategy, new business model, you need somebody else, a new team perhaps, and so forth. And this is where I think Raji and I can come in, because with his experience from India, with myself from this part of the world, okay, Southeast Asia, China, and so forth, I think you get the best combination of both. Yeah, to tell the emperor that he's naked. Okay.
Wait,
Claudius, can I add on? I don't know, you are managing the time, so I'm okay with that. But really, this part, the biggest mindset issue. And what I spoke to you about the example in the beginning, the pigs one. Think about that. The way we address innovation is what we call orbit shifting innovation. What does it take to shift the orbit of an organization into another orbit of growth? But the enemy of the orbit shift is gravity, right? There is huge gravity which pulls anything down. And that gravity comes from the existing orbit that we are in. So after some time, that becomes the way of working. So believe me, this gravity is not necessarily industry. It can be country and culture. So for example, we work with a lot of R&Ds in our part of the world, in China, India, all the other places. And when you ask them, by a lot of multinationals, as you know, have started R&Ds in this part of the world, using the lower cost resources available to them. So when we talk to these R&Ds, they tell us, we are called R&D, but actually we are not R, we are only D. The R happens in US or Germany, we do the low cost development. Now, the first stage was that they were not happy with their position in the world. They wanted to create more. But where does the orbit shift begin? By first shifting the mindset that we can be pioneers in creating new value and not just simply followers. So in this case, for example, with one firm, which is Honeywell, they took on the challenge that not west to east, we'll take it east to west. And then we partnered them in creating, they created a new product. Honeywell hadn't even asked them for it. They had to even seek the board's engagement to even be heard. So all that enrollment had to happen. And finally, they created a new product which was launched in countries to success, and this center became the future product innovation hub. So where did it start? With that mindset shift, that we can, it's not west to east, we'll take it east to west. We'll create the next new product that was unheard of actually at that point in time. But so these are the fundamental mindsets, and this we've seen happen across. For example, one company which was into making fragrances and flavors from Unilever, P&G, Colgate, Palmolive. At that point in time, they were winning only one brief out of 6. So by the way, when they're creating a new fragrance or a flavor, they put out a brief to 5 or 6 empaneled companies. They were a smaller one. And so they were preparing it to the brief, but they were finding they were winning only 1 in 6. So breaking through the boundaries, they discovered they were acting like a supplier. Actually, what is a supplier? Get a brief and you do it. What did the customer actually want, which he was not talking about, was he wanted to differentiate his product in the end market. That was what the customer was actually seeking. So they broke through the boundaries, and we have to be the differentiating edge, a growth partner, and not just a supplier. But that meant getting to first-hand market insights, engaging with end users. Believe me, they made that leap happen. And their success rate went from 1 in 6 to 4 in 6, and they grew 6 times in the next 6 years. And interestingly, with companies like Colgate, Palmolive, etc., they became the first port of call. In fact, there's a first to talk to them. If they can't do it, then we'll put out the brief. Now, that's what anybody would love to be, right? The growth partner of a large firm. But where does that leap come from? Leaping the value creation curve in a B2B market. I'm also giving you a B2B example, not just B2C, because ultimately a lot of you are likely to be in the B2B world. So what does it take to leapfrog the value curve to become true growth partners and not just merely a supplier? That's another mindset issue, which a lot of us would love to be. But the question is really how.
Okay.
So this is to complete the journey of the small organization also. This is the way we can go up the value curve.
Thank you. Both of you mentioned something from this question, new. And I start to realize that actually we are moving from the topic of innovation to how innovation can be done within the company. So I hear from an advisor standpoint, I hear from using a model standpoint, and I hear from really a mindset standpoint. And innovation has to really, in fact, the top management, the mind of the top management for it to happen. So, and I think that it has to be driven more convincingly, because SME leaders, they are very pragmatic group of people. So how am I going to, number one, trust you? How am I going to get something back within 3 days or something like that? So I want to understand what are you giving me, So, and you mentioned a few examples. Do you have any local examples to which you can actually let us know, tell us as well?
Yeah, I'll be happy to share. Since I'm based in Singapore, okay, that company is still around. In fact, Unwa Tech Private Limited. Okay, it's a SME company. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they went through my training on master program in business model innovation. I'm very proud, and they won the national award on the business model innovation award. It's a national award. Okay. Now I'd like to share the story. Yeah. Okay. That was way back 2016, 2017. I think it was hard times in Singapore too. They are in a precision engineering field, a local precision engineering. Yeah. And they're supplying tools and machineries for the semicon industry back end. Okay. And it was a very tough industry because you're fighting against the Chinese manufacturers, which are cheaper and so forth. So what happened is when they come to program, okay, they bounce through with me, okay, and then we sort of look at, hey, maybe they should look at another model, okay, not throwing their current model, the explore strategy, go into design, okay, went to design model, which they adopted, okay, and we design that enhanced value to the company, okay. They adopted Industry 4.0. There were 4 owners, co-owners there. They are very upfront, okay, and those days, Industry 4.0 is very new. They were first to embrace it, automation and so forth. And today, their profitability has gone up at least 3-4 times. So not only they won this award, Business Model Innovation Award, they also won another award, which is a Sustainable Growth Award. That means they have to show growth, for a number of years. Okay, not just 1 off, 2 off, Okay, that's not exciting in the world, because this award is on the basis that you can sustain your growth. So it goes to show that their model is quite solid, okay, in terms of after they have sort of enhance the model, identify new model, go into design and so forth. Yeah.
I see. Rajiv already shown us some international examples as well, but I think it is very similar to what Mike you have mentioned. using business model to drive that innovative growth. I kind of like understand that both of you are planning a boot camp in Singapore that is aimed at accelerating innovative growth. So maybe you would like to tell me more about this, the focus of this boot camp.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Claudius,
sure.
actually, the reason why we wanted to call it a boot camp was that it is not a training program at all.
Okay.
The whole objective is that to get a group of ambitious SMEs together
Okay.
and leaders together. And it's like a workout, right? Because the objective is that we will be equipping you with tools and getting and facilitating the application of them. The idea is to apply them to get these for SMEs, ambitious leaders together to equip them with new experiences, new tools, and then finally apply them to discover new growth opportunities, to create a new growth strategy, and to evolve new business models. And to really up to the point where they have an execution roadmap, which is an accelerated execution roadmap up and running. The objective is, it's like a workout, right? It's not learning, it's really sachets of learning, but larger chunks of application to their business. So that's really where you want value, and that's honestly where we also love working, which is that finally seeing the application of these principles and not merely the learning of them.
I see.
So that's where the idea of a boot camp came together.
Yeah. So if you're interested, our sales guy can touch base with you in more details. Basically, the program will involve a facilitator, that means classroom session, okay, where we have, of course, share with you some of the fundamentals. So you would learn from Rajiv's side, okay, two actually session, 2 phases, we call it, like 3 phases. Okay? Classroom to understand this orbit shifts innovation, and then come back to me, phase 4 on the business model. Okay. Then after that, after the teaching, by the way, these programs for the facilitator program, we've got SSG funding, okay, for that. Okay. Then yeah,
70% kind of funding.
Yeah, 70%, absolutely.
Okay.
My guys our sales guy can come and tell you more details, okay, because I know for SMEs, funding is one of the considerations. Then it'll be followed by a 3-day where we go down to the site, Raji, myself, okay, so you get the best of India and here, the Far East, okay, to know your situation on the ground, because we believe that just purely sharing with you information is good enough. How do you bespoke that? How do you customize that to your environment? Okay, and this is where I think we can provide that unique opportunity to you to look at your current model, what's wrong, I mean, I've done this many times, okay? Companies has been 30, 40 years in business. You don't see the gaps in the current model, okay? You need somebody from outside to, so to speak, tell the emperor it's naked. Not only that, we help you to enhance the model, okay, through the advisory work, and help you to identify future-ready model. Okay? Both the art as well as the science of it, okay? And both the, what I call digitalization and digital transformation that I shared earlier.
I see.
So it's a very, as what Rajiv has alluded to, is very practical, okay? Something that you can apply to your setting.
So am I right to say that in this program, it's actually more for business leaders than what you have just mentioned just now, to have a look at their own mindset?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially, you notice innovative growth, so growth leaders, but definitely the people who are leading the growth of the organization.
Okay.
So, I just also want to chime in here. All right, business model transformation requires not only the bosses mindset change, the people behind also, because you need the whole company to be on board, right? I mean, yes, much as the top is very critical because it's the top down, so the top guys has to sort of buy into it, very critical, right? But the implementation side, you need the bottom up also. Okay? So you need both. And this is where we come in to advise, okay, how to go to the science of business model innovation, how to get it implemented. Okay, even to the extent of advising your corporate culture, as I think Rajiv has mentioned many times, the culture is, remember the David and Goliath story? The enemy is a mindset, it's a culture. There's always an enemy, right?
No.
So we can advise you because we can, as I always alluded to, that we can tell emperor is naked, can tell you, okay, how to get it implemented, the science of it, not just giving the theory part, okay, but the execution side. And we have the metrics and so forth to help you to, so it's a bit of science as well, to help you to measure, okay, your progress and so forth. Yeah.
Interesting. So whatever that was mentioned just now, actually our SME bosses can sign up for it. Like it's part of the workshop. You mentioned there's a workshop, and then there's a part where you will personalize the kind of consulting work for them as well. Okay. So how long does the whole thing take? 3 months or 6 months or?
Okay. We take cognizance of facts that a lot of tauke's, SME people, even companies generally have time. So if you stretch over, I mean, because of the learning process, so it can't be continuous because too much materials that we're going to share with you. So we're looking at from probably late June to end July, so about 2 months of period, but interspersed with breaks and so forth, because we want to give you time, right, to chew, to ponder, think about the issues, rather than just throw all the information at you. So it's a very practical kind of a session, right? Yeah. Not the business school kind of thing, right? You go in and you just absorb knowledge. No, we want you to be able to apply the knowledge to your company.
That's what I'm afraid is if it's just a workshop. Usually that's where the funded programs lead you to. Like if it's just a workshop, then it's not personalized. It doesn't really have much value.
That's right.
So that's the reason why Rajiv, with the many years of experience, that's how you come in to provide consultation to the local companies, because you got international experience. And then Dr. Mike, you have local experience, but you also have experience in helping the MNCs and many of the local companies as well. I understand that's actually a very strong match. Yeah. Okay. So if anybody's interested, they could actually approach Training Vision so that they can actually spend more time to talk about this program with them. Yeah. As timing is coming to 10:30. Is there any final message or a summary that you would like to provide for our audience today?
Actually, the only thing I'd like us to all believe is that the intent of when you come into this boot camp, don't come in with an if-then mindset. If we discover something, it will be very nice. The only question is how and how else.
I see.
Because believe me, the moment you set your mind to doing it, there will be a solution. So I'd like you to come in with the mindset of, we are coming here to discover how and how else and how else. There is no if then. So there is no wishful thinking needed in this case, or depending upon wishes. Because I found inevitably when people set their minds together with us, then solutions are inevitably found. They are always there. So come in with the intent of seeking answers, finding them, and not settling for less. And we will together find it.
I like it.
Yeah. Yes. I like to leave with this statement that please do not live in the past. Okay, it's no more business as usual. You can see all the challenges that we're facing today, right? Every industry is being impacted. If you're not impacted by COVID, you're probably impacted by high inflation, by the Ukraine war, socio-political crisis. There's so many problems. Okay, I bet you every industry is being impacted, or technology, right? So don't live in the past. It's no more business as usual, and you cannot afford to stand still. Why? Because you'll be bypassed by your competitors.
Yeah.
Okay? People are moving on, all right, very quickly. And you see there are many other new entrants, unicorns coming to attack even the big boys. Okay. And if you continue to stay in the past, living the past, you will become ashes of the past. Okay, like many other companies have gone bankrupt and so forth. So don't wait. Don't hesitate to wait anymore. Okay, time is not on our side, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both for sharing in today's session. Actually, I've learned a lot. Very applicable to each and every of the target audience that I've met, actually, even over the last 2 years. Actually, some of the people that I met, which I've tried very hard to convince them to go on e-commerce, who didn't, went through the COVID with very, very much hardship, even for their staff. So it's not laughing matter. It's actually very, very serious. So yeah, thank you for your sharing, both of you today.
Pleasure.
We'd like to see you next to have more learning from both of you as well. So that's it for today for me, Claudius, today. So thank you. Back to you,
Thank you.
Patricia.
Thank you, Claudius. So
Thank
thanks,
you.
friends. Look forward to making orbit shifts happen with all of you. Thank you.
Thank
Back to
you.
you, Patricia. Yes.
Thank you all so much for this. We would like to thank our speakers and our moderator, Claudius. So if you guys are interested in joining the bootcamp, our program consultants will be contacting you after this program. And then kindly send us an email as well at marketing@trainingvision.edu.sg. You can also message me. Okay, we'll be sending you emails if you are interested. So thank you so much for coming into today's session. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Winnie. Thank you, Beth. Thank you all. I'll end this now. Thank you.